I think I'm up. Get a confirmation here shortly. Looks like I'm up. Hello, this is Greg, K6EGG from the city of Chino, Kilowatt 6 Echo Golf Golf. I'm about 2 miles north of the Chino airport. This is my, try to do as many nights a week as I can, live stream of 144 250, and sometimes the Bozone, and sometimes I'll flip over to 146 520 to get some local LA, actually east of LA traffic, San Bernardino County, Northern Orange County, as well as Riverside County and parts of east of Los Angeles County. So anyways, without further ado, I'll jump on get the radio feed going here, and we'll take a listen here to 144 250 upper sideband.
FTDX, in this case the 101 MP. I could have used just done the D, but I wanted the 200 watt rig, and I really like it. I like the receive, and of course it's really ranked. I think it's number 1 on Sherwood. It's been that way for a while, but that doesn't mean anything. I think they're all fantastic. I think the D and the 7610 are pretty close in price, but both are really good. So I don't really have a big personal preference to either one. I just went with Yaesu. But I know on YouTube there's a guy who took a pretty good, he calls it a shootout. I think it's Bob Nagy, Nagy. I don't know what it's called. And he did a review on both. Have you seen that?
I feel like I have. You're talking the FTDX 101D, right? That's right at $3,000?
Yeah, the DX. The MT is a little bit more, go ahead.
Yeah, gosh, for another $1,000, it's almost worth it for the double wattage.
And that's where I lean. I mean, I've got a 1,000 watt Icom linear, but I mean, if I don't want to run it, the 200 watts works great. It makes all the difference in the world. And the VC tune. You might want to sit down. I mean, you're welcome to use mine. I mean, but you go to HRO or whatever you want and get a feel of it. They're a really nice rig, and nothing against the Icom. They all have their attributes. So that would be a nice birthday present, either one.
I'd go with the Yaesu, and I'm sitting here staring at 2 Icoms.
But I have not been disappointed with an Icom radio yet, and I have been disappointed with the Yaesu radio in the past. But I've had probably a 50-50 mix of both.
Yeah, QSL. Yeah, I mean, I had a 7300 that I had, and I really liked it. I did sell it, but I've got the 9700, so I'm not biased to either one. I just happen to kind of like the Yaesu. I mean, cosmetically, or appearance-wise, it looked great, but I mean, it functioned well, and it did everything. I liked it. But again, it's Ford, Chevy, Dodge, etc. So either one. But I know what you're saying. If you've had good luck in the past, tend to lean to what you like.
Comment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Andy, so I'm staring at 2 Icoms. I've got the 9700 and the 7300, but if I were going to spend $3,000 in that neighborhood on an HF, I'd go that Yaesu 101D.
How come?
Do the research on it. Highly regarded. I love the 3D waterfall on that thing. And, when it comes to HF, it's all about the receive, and the receiver in that thing is very, very impressive.
Yeah, it's night and day. I mean, just going to an SDR from what the 9100 is going to be night and day. So, I mean, anything I get is going to be like, holy cow, where did this come from? But yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to do a little more homework on it and try and figure it out. The 101, is that the brand new one that it's not the brand new one Yaesu came out with, right? Didn't they come out with like a 10 or something recently?
Yeah, but that's just the lower end version, basically, of the 101. That's really more of a competitor to the 7300.
Gotcha.
Would you agree with that, Ward?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. The FTDX or the FT10 or FTDX10. Yeah, it's a scaled down version. It's to compete, like Rob said. I think it's a nice rig. I've seen some people do reviews on it. And I think it incorporates a lot of the 101 to some degree, but I don't think they were able to, of course, squeeze everything in there, especially at that price point.
So the comparison that you're talking about on YouTube, were they at like on the side of a freeway at a park kind of a thing, or side of a main road at a park and doing it there on a little picnic bench?
No, negative. This is because these rigs, they take direct AC. Let me see if I can find Bob Nagy is his name, and he did what they call. I think he said it was a shootout of the 70s. He called it a shootout. 7610 versus the FTDX may have been the 101 shootout, and he dove pretty deep into it, and he was not biased, but he had his pros and his cons of both. But I'll see if I can find it. I think it'd be worth your viewing time.
And for what it's worth, I would agree with the Bob Nagy videos probably being the best one out there, or it's certainly one of the best.
I think I found it.
Okay, I think it had a couple of pistols. Was that right? Do you see it?
Yep, that's the one. Looks like there's a couple of them. Ham Radio Concepts did one as well.
Yeah, I think you'll find, and they all have done, somebody's done one, but the Nagy, I think, is the most, probably legit, or the most detailed, in my opinion.
Anybody heard any rumblings of new technology coming out?
I don't know, unless you go, these Elecraft and what is the other one? Mastro and all that, Apache Labs. They're all full SDRs, right?
And Elecraft has been working on that flagship it's been delayed for I don't know how long now.
Probably another price level though, right?
Exactly.
It does, from what I know, it does, it's kind of an expandable type of deal where it's almost can be like a shack in the box where you have the HF, and I think you can even put VHF, UHF modules in it. Don't correct me, I might be wrong, but that's what I was reading on at one time. But everything costs, you're talking, by the time you start adding this, it's a $5,000-6,000+ rig.
Yeah, I don't think I can justify that yet.
I know last night you made a quick mention that you were you were looking, don't need one, but a 9700. You said there were none around. I checked this morning because Gigaparts emailed me, and as of this morning, Gigaparts had them in stock, believe it or not.
Yeah, I could get a mail order. I really like buying local, so I could walk in a store. But I know MTC out of Texas had it, so if I looked hard enough, I could find one. But I thought it was interesting that the entire United States of HRO had sold out of them.
They were sold out when I first started looking too. Then they were all back in stock everywhere, and now they're out of stock again. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing how many radios are going out the gate, but I didn't hear about that factory until last night. That makes more sense,
Yeah, I got a text from Greg. It looks like we're up streaming. Hey, Greg.
What's up, man? How you guys doing tonight? Greg, K6EGG.
Hey, Greg, AJ6B.
Good evening, Greg, W6WWD.
Good evening, all. I haven't heard you out there for a while.
That's got to be me, right? Yeah, work has been very busy, wore out, and going to bed early, so yeah.
Yeah, it's been a few. Ward, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, doing fine, Greg. Doing fine. Just doing a little rag chewing and talking radios, good stuff. And how about you?
Excellent. Just got off semi early from work. Kind of nice. So I get to enjoy my evening off.
Well, early, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Late for me, but early. I understand your venue. So, real good. Well, you're sounding good this evening for sure. And thanks again for always doing the stream.
No problem. Early compared to midnight last night when I got home. So, yeah, it's good to have a free night off. I got a couple of them coming up, so I'm looking forward to chat with all you guys. I wish I was in the HF world like you guys. Hopefully in a couple months.
Well, it's fun, but it's only going to cost you more money.
course. Wouldn't it be anything else?
Absolutely. In fact, we were just talking about Rob and Andy and myself. Andy is looking into a couple different options or toying with it. I'll let them speak, but I'll back out. So good hearing you again. I'll be listening. W6WWD.
Yep, I'm trying to figure out the best radio to get for $3,000 or less, ish.
Sounds like you have some money to work with, some different stuff, so not too bad.
Yeah, I haven't gotten real serious about it until my wife's like, I want to buy you a radio for your birthday, so now I got to figure out which one. And I've been looking at the 7610 for a while, but not seriously. And I guess I got to compare it to the Yaesu and pick one. You know, it's a hard life when you pick a radio, right?
That's the good life. So 7610's an Icom, right?
Yes.
Just looking that up online. That looks beautiful.
And the other one is a FTDX 101, I think. Is that right, guys?
Yep, the 101D, and there's the MP, which is the 200-watt version, which is, I don't remember, I think $1,200 more.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Big money.
Yeah, when you start getting into the higher end stuff, every little bit that you improve costs exponentially more.
I'm wondering, Ward, when you got your 101, is there a bunch of stuff you can buy on top of it? You know, it seems like a lot of radios, you spend all this money, and well, yeah, but if you want the tuning knob and the microphone, it costs you this, and if you want the power button to actually work, and you need that, and if you want it to actually power up and do something, it's another, $300. Or is it pretty inclusive in the box?
W6WWD. Well, Andy, on the MP, it comes with a power supply and speaker built in. The microphone is a stock mic. Now, if you get the D, I don't know, because I didn't buy the D, if it includes a speaker or not. If it doesn't, then you've got to, have an additional speaker, and I don't, if that's the case, in my opinion, if the D doesn't come with a speaker, you might want to look into either like the Heil parametric receive audio system, because the speakers that come with the Yaesu are not really as good as they should be for the type of money that you're going to pay for that additional speaker, if you understand. Then I run a Heil PR40 microphone with mine, and it just sounds great. Everybody says it sounds really good. So they sound great stock, but the MP will give you the power supply and a speaker, where I'm not quite sure if the D does. QSL?
Yeah, that makes sense. That actually starts to make that $1,200 sound like an okay deal.
Yeah, the D does not. It definitely does not include the speaker.
Well, there you go, right there. Then is your current power supply big enough to handle everything you want? Do you have to upgrade to another one? So that's kind of where I leaned with the MP purchase. Plus the 100 watts.
What's the draw on the 200 watts?
The draw? I don't know. I could look up the manual, the amperage it draws, but since it has its own built-in power supply, it's just direct, plugged into the wall.
Oh, duh. Yeah, I was not thinking straight on that one. Yeah, I've got a 35 amp or 30 amp, whatever it is, 30 amp, I guess, from PowerWorks. I like their little power supplies. You can get like a radio holder that the power supply bolts to, so it kind of makes a miniature base. I've got a couple radios stacked on top of my 9100. Actually, I got 3 now, but it makes it look pretty sharp and holds a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, roger that. That's just my 2 cents, for what it's worth. But when you, like for me, I had the came with the one speaker, and then I wanted a matching speaker, and then I kept struggling, and I'm thinking, wow, what's wrong with? I don't like the sound of these speakers. They're a good 4.5, 5-inch round speaker, and to me it didn't sound good. Then I went and listened to the house sound system and plugged it in, and it was like night and day. So if you're gonna get the MP, you're gonna get one speaker anyway, just because it's built in the power supply. But if you get the D, I would seriously look into a alternate speaker system or the Heil or something to make your radio time enjoyable.
No, good call. I appreciate it.
Because I know, I'll say this lastly is, you could spend hours, how we are. We can spend 6 hours, on the radio, and the receive on this transceiver is just fantastic. If you get a chance, like I said, you're welcome to sit down here in my house. You go to HRO, you play with the VC tune and their notch and their digital noise reduction. It's a fantastic transceiver, and the receive on it's really the best right now, they say.
It's too much stuff to look at here online.
Let me throw this out there too. I've actually been considering at some point upgrading my 7300, and definitely the 101 is the one that would be taking its place, if anything.
Sure is pretty.
Hey Ward, I was going to ask, when you use your Yaesu, do you use that? And I might have asked you this before. Do you use the 3D waterfall? Do you like that thing?
Not as often as I just use a standard waterfall. I've used it. It's kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool, and you can watch it fade and all. It's okay, but I'm more traditional. Just use a standard waterfall. I change up the colors and everything, blah, blah, blah. But I don't use the 3D. Like, some people, you'll find out there, at least I've found in the forums, is either they love it or they hate the 3D, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I found reading QRZ, but a lot of people actually make fun of the 3D waterfall, saying it's nothing more than a gimmick. Then you have the other guys talking about how much they love it, and you can actually get more information from it than the standard waterfall. So I don't know, it looks pretty cool to me. Holy moly, I'm looking at Greg's stream. Man, I'm coming in pretty strong tonight, Greg, tickling that 40.
Shocker.
Everybody's coming in pretty good. Everybody's sounds louder too tonight.
Well, we were all messing around with the radio TBW last night, so everybody got it figured out. We're all on wideband now.
Wideband, upper sideband?
Yep. We're taking up all the bandwidth we can.
I did just do a firmware of my update with my radio a couple days ago. I don't know if that changed anything.
See, now you're just taking our credit away. That wasn't cool.
It looks like I'm the weak one of the group.
A weak S9.
If that's a weak signal, I'll take it.
Hey Greg, for the fun of it, and you sound good, so I'll bet you $1 million you're on wide, but hit your function button and go to the little symbol that says TBW. Hit that TBW and see if you're on wide, medium, or narrow. Function button on the bottom, there you go. And over to the right, TBW, yeah, you're on wide, bingo.
I kind of like the sound of a digital radio, so I like narrow the best.
Can you believe how much difference there is in the sound on that, Greg? And we determined yesterday that Ward had been using that on narrow.
Really?
That's why there's such a huge difference in his sound now.
Yeah, I did notice a big difference in his sound, actually.
Can you copy this, Greg? This is on narrow. This is narrow. Go ahead.
Yeah, why don't you go back and listen to some old YouTube and see how you sound compared to today, pal? You sound 100 times better.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'll leave it at that. I'm really mad at myself for somehow changing that to narrow.
Hey, well, we should have noticed. I didn't even think about it. You kept on improving, so we just thought everything was normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I agree. And last night I ran across it, and I think I threw it out to Rob. It was like, what's your setting on this? And everybody's like, oh. And Fred was on, I think, medium. Rob was on, I think, wide, and I was on narrow. So, and then AJ, then Curtis, he was on wide. So anyway, it was a nice little round robin. But we sure figured out what a difference it is when you're on either setting.
Coming from the business I'm in, I read the manual front to back before I turned the radio on, and then as I started playing with the functionality, I did some research, and I found that was the best mode to be on, so I just kind of left it and kind of forgot about it. You guys said something right now. Didn't even think about it. I probably should have thought about it when I heard you.
Roger. Well, yeah, I'm with you. I've read the manual. I guess that part didn't sink in, so anyway. But yeah, now I'm on wide, so happy to be wide, I guess.
And Ward, one thing I realized is, I think when Greg first got on here, he was on 249.94, which is exactly what I was on, but now he's moved up to 249.99. I'm guessing to dial in on Andy. So I don't know if you try to tune us in again and moved up a little bit. If you did, you'd probably sound even better going into Greg's stream.
Well, I was a little high earlier. I think I was tuning into Fred. I'm at 250.05, so I don't know if that's any better. I came down just a little bit.
Yeah, just curious. I mean, the correct way to do it, as we've been taught by Professor, is just to, tune us in the best you can. You should tune into my voice, and Greg's voice hopefully will be pretty close to mine and Andy. We should all be able to tune each other in pretty close.
Yeah, QSL, Rob. Yeah, real good. Well, I think you guys sound good coming over here. I just, like I said, everybody's got their own little tuning going on. But I'll jump out and let Andy get back in here, and you guys can talk about 101s and 7610s. But I will say this lastly, it's got a fantastic receive on it, the 101. So I'll be listening. W6WWD.
Yeah, actually, if anything, I should not partake in this conversation because it's going to make me want to get one too. And Andy's got $3,000 to burn. Well, I had my taxes done Monday, and guess who's got a big fat refund coming?
You.
You can get some more grounds too.
Does it go on the Jeep? Does it go on the desk? I don't know.
Has Keith or Fred been on that tonight?
Keith, he's laying some music tracks somewhere this evening. He might be on later, based on a conversation I had with him earlier today. Fred was on. I don't know if he went to get a pot of coffee or if he's just sandbagging.
We got a sandbagger.
That would be the ultimate irony, is Fred sandbagging.
Fred would never do that. He doesn't like sandbaggers.
That's my point. Irony.
I sandbag on repeaters a lot, so I don't know. I know he's weird about it, but I do a lot more listening than talking.
Yeah, most people do, and that's part of the problem that leads to people feeling like the frequencies aren't used that much.
There's a few people on some of these repeaters I listen to that can go for a while.
Yeah, true that.
I just text Fred, asked if he was sandbagging.
I don't think he'll admit it.
Well, I don't think it's in his blood.
He did say he was listening to us on YouTube before he came on one night.
Yeah, but that's probably because he wasn't near the radio.
Hey, Andy. I wasn't sure if you're still around, Rob. I didn't know if the 76, I was going to ask if the 7610 has a 3 antenna input, 2 antennas and one for receive.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either.
Me neither.
I guess I could look it up, but I was just kind of too comfortable and lazy.
Well, it is Friday night.
Felt like Sunday to me for some reason. I have no idea why, but I was driving home and I go, man, there's a lot of traffic out right now.
Yeah, it's called Friday. I was in the office today in Anaheim, so Friday afternoon traffic going home to Riverside is no bueno.
Yeah, 91 that way. If you don't leave by 1 o'clock, you're done. That's a horrible drive. 7610 has only antenna 1 and antenna 2. It does not give you a third for receive only, if that's something you were looking for, Andy.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of the back of it right now. It's got a receive antenna with BNC connectors, which is kind of weird.
Did I miss that? Oh, over to the number 15. Okay, I apologize. Yes, BNC though, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a fan of that idea. I mean, I get it, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah. I can't say that I am, but I apologize. I didn't see those. I thought they were RCA inputs or something.
Yeah, at quick glance, they sure look it.
But I think both have, some positives. I'm sure I think Icom might have something for remoting that's already built in versus the Yaesu doesn't have the remote feature built in. So, it just really, I guess, boils down to your pros and cons or your wish list.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them. That 7610 gets great reviews, too.
Might be time to change to Yaesu again. I don't know.
One other reason I liked it, other than everything I said, is that Yaesu's just in my backyard here in Cypress. So if it's a repair, I don't have to ship this thing. It costs me $100 or more each way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I've been to Yaesu's headquarters right there 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, so nice to have them in your backyard.
I agree. I mean, that's a fairly big deal. I mean, like I said, I've been there 2 or 3 times. That should tell you something right there. Once for my own radio and a couple times for Luis, picked something up for him.
Oh, Roger on that. Yeah, I found out that they'll sell you anything that Yaesu makes as long as it does not have a serial number attached to it.
What does that mean?
Well, that excludes anything that's got a serial number like radios, maybe rotor controller. I'm not sure, but they'll sell you any peripheral device, anything that is from cables to plug-ins or pins, anything that's not, I guess, a transmitter, if you will, or has a serial number.
Oh, gotcha. You mean right there at the repair facility or whatever you want to call it, their headquarters?
Yeah, and quick story. My Yaesu rotor, it's got one of those eight pin plastic seals, and inside there they have these little pins that you clamp the wire on when you push it in. Well, mine, when I moved my shack upstairs, I wanted to redo it. HRO didn't have them, and Janet over says, "Well, just call Yaesu, they'll sell it to you." I'm like, "Really?" So, long story short, I got two connectors and 16 pins. I got them for which will cost, last me a lifetime or two. I walked out there for $2.20, and I think one of the connectors at HRO was $5. So, anyway, it was convenient.
Oh, very cool. I did not know that. Good information to have.
The only reason I mentioned that it's nice in your backyard because the Yaesu's got a 3-year warranty, and I've heard of people, no matter what brand it is, by the time you're shipping and insurance, you're paying the freight there. I don't know about on the return, but I know that if it's out of warranty, you're probably paying the freight both ways.
No, that's exactly right. I just remembered why I went there once. I bought that used Yaesu FTM 400, and I wanted to put it on my desk. And in order to attach it to this desk mount, you have to have the screw that comes with it that goes in the back of the head unit. Well, I didn't have that screw, so Yaesu, I just dropped by and they gave me one for free.
There you go. Well, if they're going to give anything away for free, they certainly got the best end of that deal, didn't they?
And not that it was a huge deal or anything, but I mean, it's a specific part, and I don't know how easy it would have been to replace it just going down to the hardware store.
Yeah, Roger. No, when I bought my used 400 from Don, I wanted to put it on a desk mount, one of those, plastic, ones. Anyway, it was there, but I could see that. Yeah, it's easier just to go there. But yeah, Andy, I wish you luck on your decision making because they're both really good radios, and I think they both fit certain needs. And maybe a trip to HRO to play with both might be a worthwhile trip.
Yeah, that may be on the agenda suddenly.
I was there, and I went in the store about a week ago. I didn't see either one of those radios.
Well, I tell you that I know one guy that I bought their display, and because there was none around, Bob over there sold them the display. And if you go over to HRO Anaheim, Andy, I don't know if you've ever met Ron. His name is Ron. He used to work at Yaesu. The guy's just really a net wealth of knowledge. He could show you. He could make that Yaesu hum like a baby. That thing. He knows how to work it.
I think I know who Ron is. I usually deal with Bob, but I'm pretty sure I know Ron.
Yeah, I do with Bob all the time myself, but once I had some questions, Bob said, "Hey, Ron, can you help him out?" And man, he can make, he'll take you on CW, he'll get down to 0 beat, and he'll get it just tuned in, and he'll explain it to you in layman's terms. Let's just say that.
Now I'm just drooling over radios. This is ridiculous.
I know. I told myself I'm done.
November 6th, kilowatt X-ray, Rob in Riverside. Really what I should do before I even think about upgrading my 7300 is upgrade my antenna.
If I had to do it all over again, you're right. I'd say antenna, coax, then radio. Big difference, you know. That's, you got to have the ears and limit your line loss. And if you're going to redo it, you know, do 600 or 900 or hard line. I mean, anything you can do to limit your loss is the better.
Need to do the hex beam. I'm just not so sure that's going to fly with the wife.
I know. Just like I do. Just ask for forgiveness.
Words to live by. Then you might have some people that'll come back and contradict you by saying happy wife, happy life.
Oh yeah, no argument there. No, there's no debating that. You're right. Win-win, I call it.
You can't just say I didn't do that.
How did that thing get up there?
I can blame it on my friend Luis.
Just tell her the wind blew really hard and tweaked your antenna.
Just tell her the umbrella's missing the skirts on it. You don't know how that thing landed up top of there.
Last time I came home with a new radio, she's like, why do you need 3 radios? I'm like, please, you're lucky. Luis has 6.
Purses and shoes, right? It's the same thing.
Ooh, that's good.
She thought I was lying too, so the next time he came over to help me with my antenna, I asked him right in front of my wife. I said, Luis, how many radios do you have? He looked and said, 6. Yeah, so 3, that's half as much, right? So I should be able to get a big antenna.
Absolutely. You have our permission. Well, Fred's not coming on. I texted him. He's not responding to my text, so maybe he's watching a movie.
Hey, I got a question, and kind of changing the subject, I apologize, but have you guys been on 5.2 tonight or today at all?
I didn't talk on it, but I checked it out around 7 o'clock. It was, for me, very, very noisy.
I heard somebody say something about they're like doing something like a call thing from Last Man Standing or something like that. I was driving home, I was going through Carbon Canyon, so the guy was going in and out. He kept on saying Last Man Standing, so I didn't know what that meant.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Have you heard of the television show Last Man Standing?
I have not. I don't watch too much TV.
Oh, well, Tim Allen's on that show, and he's got a ham radio on the show. And so they have a real ham radio on the set of Last Man Standing.
I think they just taped their final show. I think that's what all the noise was about.
Didn't he have like a fake show on his show, Tool Time or something like that? I forget the name of the show back in the 90s. He had a ham radio thing.
Well, yeah, Tool Time was the name of his original show. I mean, I don't remember he had a ham radio on that one, but maybe.
Maybe I should flip over there in a little while and see if I hear anything again. He was coming in strong right when I went up the hill at the 57 in Lambert Road, and then it just died when I got in the canyon.
I just flipped over there again for the fun of it real quick. I didn't hear anything but S5 noise level.
I'm going to flip there. I'll be right back.
We'll be here.
K6EGG QSY 140-6520. Kilowatt 6 Echo Golf Golf monitoring 146.520 from the beautiful city of Chino, 2 miles north of the Chino airport. Anybody on frequency by chance? All right, K6EGG is going to QSY back to 144.250 upper sideband. If anybody out there can hear me, why don't you go and join us? Kilo 6 Echo Golf Golf out.
Or something. He didn't get into it. Just said he's missing a couple things. He was trying to either reconfigure or did something. But I was catching about an S3, so it was good though. I mean, it sounded like Karita's. I don't know. I'd have to look. It's up there by Magic Mountain, I believe.
Yeah, it would have been a pretty impressive haul for me to make that contact, but definitely no bueno for me. Anyway, I just saw Greg on the stream. He switched over to the call frequency, and he had an S4 noise level, so that's not a whole lot lower than what I had.
Yeah, roger that. Yeah, I just went down there real quick. S3 here, so it's definitely a noisy night.
Yeah, but to me, there's a big difference between an S3 and an S5.
Absolutely. S5 is almost for me to turn off the radio.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. I don't feel like it's really worth trying to do much on 5.2 when it's that noisy.
I agree. Well, you know what, guys? I think I'm going to have to back out. I know it's early for a Friday, but it's been a long day.
Well, have a great night. Good talking with you. And I'll be probably heading out myself here pretty quick. I'm an early bird usually anyway, so I'll be on for a little bit. But have a good night and a good weekend if I don't talk to you. AJ6B.
Hey, good talking to you, Ward, as always. Still can't get over how good you sound. I'm glad we all got that figured out. Anyway, have a great rest of your evening. 7-3, November 6th, Kilowatt X-ray. Rob in Riverside.
Have a good evening there, Ward. I'm glad you're sounding a lot better now.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. It's always fun spending time up here, and you all sound great yourself. So, Andy, good talking to you. Rob, Greg, of course. And, yeah, I'm sure we'll talk this weekend. So 7-3, everyone, and we will chat later. W6WWD QRT.
Hey, Rob, I got to be honest with you. I almost thought that was a different person when I first came out. I'm like, who's that again?
Okay, well, no kidding, and I thought the exact same thing when I first got on the radio tonight. He was talking to Fred, and I'm like, who is that Fred's talking to? That's a nice, strong signal. And it was Ward.
Almost like Keith when he came on with his other radio that one time. I'm like, who is that? It sounds like his call letters, but it sounds like somebody that's different.
Yeah, it's a pretty dramatic difference, that's for sure.
We were down the street from each other today. I was at my work QTH in Anaheim today.
Oh, really? That's funny. Yeah, not too far from me, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'll be down there the next week or so, till next Friday on and off.
Yeah, good times.
The COVID traffic is now history. I worked in LA and had dinner with a coworker that's leaving town for I wouldn't say forever, but she's moving back out of town. But I left LA, downtown LA, at like 7:30, and there was still traffic. Where before there was like no traffic anytime.
Yeah, sadly I have to agree with you. Especially, I would say that over the last 2 weeks, noticeable increase in traffic.
Yep, and by the way, if you notice, I split up 2 KCs to dial you in. I kind of split the difference between Andy and Ward and you to kind of hear you guys all be close to at least good.
Well, unfortunately, I did not notice, and the reason for that is I just lost my Wi-Fi connection in the shack about 5 minutes ago.
Uh-oh, I lost a viewer. I want to get up to 30 one of these nights. I got up to 25 one night.
Did you really? 25? That's, wow.
25 live streams at once, yeah. I think I had 100 and something views on one of them, but I don't know how that works exactly.
Yeah, there's a difference between views and watching live for sure. 25 watching live, that's a lot.
A guy I know, he does another stream, Unham Radio related, and he's had up over 25K at once. I'm like, dang, I wish.
What kind of channel was it?
He puts police scanners on and smokes weed and gets video feeds from helicopters during car chases.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I don't think you'll see that kind of crowd on ham radio.
No, I could sit here with a bong maybe and just kidding. I just don't even like the head change anymore. I rarely have a drink. We went out to dinner the other night. I didn't even have a drink, so it's been a while.
No, that's interesting. It's kind of the same with me. I would say probably 3 years ago, I just pretty much stopped altogether. I mean, I might have one here and there if it's social and we're out with friends, maybe. But yeah, it's not something that I seek out anymore, that's for sure.
It's absolutely amazing how you get older and you're just like, But I know some people that will just have a beer like in the morning and watch a game or something. So it's like, I don't know, I can't do that.
Yeah, I know people, and I even have friends who have not grown up too.
Yeah, last night, or 2 nights ago, I came up, was it Wednesday? I'm losing track of my days because I keep on thinking it's Sunday. I totally forgot on Wednesday nights you guys slide up to 270, and I came on 250 and there was nobody here, and it was 8:15 maybe, 8:45.
November 6 kilowatt X-ray. Yeah, I never made it out here either at all, so I did talk to Keith, and I asked him, and he said it was super quiet. It's like nobody went up to 270 after the Bosonet check-in, so I guess you didn't miss much anyway?
Excellent. Kilo 6 Echo Golf for ID. What I used to do on sideband is whenever I was running power, I would say kilowatt X-way. I am just losing my mind here. I'll say kilowatt instead of kilo for my call sign.
Yeah, technically it is kilo, but I hear guys on HF all the time, and they tend to use kilowatt. So I just think kilowatt X-ray sounds better than kilo X-ray. So I'm sticking with kilowatt X-ray.
It definitely has more edge to it.
Yep, and definitely I like the kilowatt X-ray. It has a nice tail to it.
Say kilo, so Kilo November 6, Charlie Lima Papa. My gosh, saying that, man, it just makes you realize how much longer that is than the 4 letters.
Yeah, but if you're taking up space, and by the way, that was almost a full duplex dually there. I heard both of you guys perfectly.
Oops, sorry, Greg.
Yeah, no worries. My bad. I think I heard you key up right as I was keying up, but I wasn't sure if it was noise or not. At least it's sideband. It's not a heterodyne noise.
Well, why don't you go ahead and repeat what you said, and then I'll repeat what I said, if I can remember what I said.
I can't remember. I'll probably have to go look back at the stream, but I'm too lazy to do that right now.
All I said was when my old call sign was Kilo November 6, Charlie Lima Papa, and I would always just say kilo, but now that I've got the shorter call sign, I'm just sticking with kilowatt versus kilo.
Do you go on to HF very much?
Not lately, but HF was my first love when it comes to ham radio. So when the bands get better, and I hope they will soon, and they should get a little bit better when we get closer to summer anyway. But yeah, that's like I said, that's my first love. I'm actually surprised that I've been enjoying 2-meter simplex as much as I have, but I have, and that's really what led me to buying the 9700.
Speaking of the beautiful 9700, which I really, really like so far, it's been my favorite radio. Other than the HR 2510 10-meter/11 meter rig I had back in the 90s, did you guys do your firmware update?
I have not. I know Ward has. I'm pretty sure Fred has.
I did mine. It was fairly easy, but I don't notice any different menus or anything like that.
Yeah, there's obviously some additional features, but I don't think there was anything of real significance. I remember there's something to do with the scope, something with the range of the scope, something like that. There's videos out there telling you what the additions are.
I'll have to go look that up. I mean, man, I wish they would just add the crossband repeat. That'd be so nice. I can go sit in my car somewhere and talk on sideband with you guys or whatever and not have to like worry about actually being there. Because I know a lot of times I would go out on with my TS2000, I would go sit up on a hilltop and go crossband on 146.520 to see how my range was doing in different areas and stuff like that. So it gave me a pretty good idea how my station sounded when I was mobile or where I was, wherever I was at.
Yeah, Roger. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if that's even something they can do by firmware update.
No, I would actually. Yeah, I apologize. Yes, I think you're absolutely 100% correct. I think that's a big functionality thing. They'd probably have to add a board in or something like that. Because right now, I don't think they can do it with firmware.
I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but that would be my guess. But I'm loving the radio. Still want to try to get more out of it and eventually do something with satellites. Have you ever looked into that?
Actually, I have, and I made contact. I didn't make contact, but I talked to somebody that was in Washington State from the ISS crossband repeater. I just happened to be like looking around on my phone, and I saw, oh, it's about ready to make a pass. I turned on my radio, and I heard somebody talking, and I had it programmed in the satellite bank, and sure as stuff, I was able to make contact with them. There's nobody else on it.
Oh, wow, that's cool. How long ago was that?
Like 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half ago.
Oh, wow, very cool. What did you do in terms of setup to be able to do that?
I was running power, would say ask you not to do, which I didn't think about till after. I didn't really do too much. It did a Doppler effect as it got like north-south even with me. It was probably, I would say, just south of Santa Cruz when I was able to talk on it. And as soon as it got over the Nevada state border, I wasn't able to hear myself come back, but I was able to still hear it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. Well, I got my Wi-Fi back up, so I'm back on the internet. I missed SoCal Simplex Archives comment earlier. Yes, Rob, very noisy tonight. Speaking of Simplex on 520, I guess.
Oh yeah, here's another little fun fact I realized I saw on a YouTube page. I wish I could find it again. For somebody running a vertical antenna, it's better if the ISS is a little over 100 miles away, line of sight of you versus directly over you. You won't be able to hit it because because the way the antenna pattern is. So if you run in a vertical, let it be a little bit further away. Because I tried it before when it was right over and I couldn't hit it. I was sliding the Doppler and everything. I heard it clear as day, but I couldn't hit it for some reason. I think that was probably the key when I tried it when it was a little further away up to Santa Cruz area.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've heard something to the same effect regarding that. That definitely makes sense. And I know a lot of these guys that try to make contact with it using the smaller handheld antennas. I know those are horizontally polarized.
There's guys like there's a whole group of guys that I saw on Facebook, not Facebook, but yeah, I think there's a Facebook page too, but on YouTube, they have all these different antennas and they'll like huge ones that have tracking systems to their computer and stuff. It's like, I don't know how deep I'll get into it, but it's pretty cool talking to a satellite or ISS, that's for sure.
Dude, I would think so, man. I'm pretty stoked about it too. I think once I get to the point where I get a little bit bored in trying to improve the station and doing the stuff that we're doing now, I'll definitely get into the satellite stuff.
And SoCal Simplex, if you're listening on YouTube, you can go to www.ariss.org, www.ariss.org, and it will give you info on if the ISS is transmitting on their sideband crossband repeater, as well as when they're going to talk on their do like weekend talks with the astronauts. One sec, I'll be right back. K6EGG.
There was a double there. Who's the other station? November 6 kilowatt X-ray, Rob in Riverside.
That might have been my speakerphone. I was just saying, hold on. I have my buddy from work, that D. Wayne. He actually lives out by you, Rob, out in Riverside area. He's definitely interested in some ham radio, so love to have him on the air with us.
Very cool. The more the merrier, the more fun it is, definitely.
Yeah, he's always hitting me up when when I'm sitting in my car checking out my V71. So it'd be great, Dwayne, if you get your license and jump on sideband with us.
Just let him know he can never be stronger than me, because I am the voice of Riverside. I kid.
So it looks like the ISS has the Kenwood D710 up, but it's just supporting the packet data stuff right now on 145.825. Looks like the crossband repeater is down. It's been down when I think 2 spacewalks ago, they went to grab a handle and rip one of the antenna cables off.
Oh, geez. Oh, man. Oops.
And here's a fun fact, too. I went to high school with one of the guys that's up there right now, Victor Glover, and he's actually a ham radio operator. I think it's K5BKC. I went to high school with him, and he was in like all sports and stuff like that. So he's up there right now. I think he comes back in May.
Very cool. So I'm behind a little bit here since my internet went down, but I'm reading another comment by SoCal Simplex Archive, and he said he can hear me pretty well at his location, but I think this was yesterday. I said I couldn't hear him on 5.2, so I think I remember this. I was talking to Keith. Keith was talking to another station that was somewhat weak, and I think he said it was in San Pedro, so I think it's the same guy. And yeah, I couldn't quite make him out. I could tell somebody was talking, but I could never decipher the signal.
And I'm going to lower my power here. I'm going to shut my amplifier off. I'm bleeding down on my wife's TV show she's watching, so you might see my signal drop a little bit.
Wow, that's the first time I've heard anybody say that they are bleeding over onto their television. I was wondering if that still happens or could still happen.
And now my power's off. I think it's coming across my sub. So hopefully now with only 34 watts or 50 watts, shouldn't be doing that, but who knows?
How often is she watching television when you're transmitting? Is this a new thing, or?
No, it only actually happens once in a while. So I bleed across my speakers here a little bit in my office. I have some Yamaha speakers, and when I don't have the power on, I don't usually bleed on them. So I think that might be. Let me see if I'm. No, I'm not blowing those things up right now. So yeah, I think it has to do with the amplifier might be splattering. Maybe a ground will help.
Oh, possibly, but more likely you might need to put some kind of chokes on there. I think I told you, I'm not sure, but I have my other hobby, I have pinball machines, and my wife tells me sometimes if I'm out here and I'm talking on the radio and she walks by one of my pinball machines, she can hear voices coming through the speakers.
Oh, that's freaky, especially if it's sideband.
Yeah, and I'd have to go back and think. I don't recall specifically whether it was sideband or if it was on FM.
Very, very strange. I've never bled on anything in my office or any speakers on FM with or without the amplifier, but I've noticed recently for some reason, and I don't know why, what changed, it depends on conditions, that I've been bleeding downstairs. So, and she's been down there a majority of the time, so I hope she doesn't hear me now with just 34 watts.
Oh, did you turn it all the way down to 34 watts?
Yeah, I usually put about, I found a sweet spot with my amplifier. 34 watts in gets me about 198 watts. So I kind of lowered the wattage. I can get more power out of my amp. I don't want to kill it. I don't want to kill my antenna. It's only rated for 200 watts as well.
Oh yeah, gotcha. I wasn't thinking. So yeah, if you just turn your amp off and don't make any other changes, you're automatically at the 34 watts. But yeah, your signal's still really strong here, Greg. You're still plus 20.
Did the audio change at all? You could probably not hear my fan in the background for one.
No, I mean your audio still sounds really good.
So we'll let your strong signal in Riverside, if anybody out there hears you, because usually I like to stay with power on, just to have. In fact, you know what? She's not down there anymore, so I can turn it back on. So let me do this. Now I'm back on power. What was I saying here? I forget. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I usually run the power, so more people would be able to hear me and listen. So maybe I have a better chance of making the contact, obviously.
Yeah, Roger, I mean, that would be my philosophy, too. I would do the same thing.
Well, guys, I'm going to call it. It's past my bedtime, but good talking with you. Have a good weekend if I don't talk to you, and who knows, maybe I'll get a radio this weekend. Although the MP is not in HRO either, at least not in the state here, so maybe not. Who knows? We'll have to sleep on it a few nights maybe. Hey, J6B, have a good one, guys. Take care.
You too, Andy. Good talking to you. Man, I'm going to be jealous if you get that MP. That's crazy. What a cool radio. Anyway, good luck. Definitely sleep on it. That's definitely a commitment. Talk to you later, buddy. November 6th, kilowatt X-ray 73.
And Andy, nice to hear you out here. It's been probably pretty close to a month since I last talked to you, so it's great to hear you, man. Take care, and I hope you get that radio you want.
That really is a nice radio, too. That thing is very, very cool.
I remember back in the 90s, me and my buddy, that is actually another ham radio operator, we used to go to ham radio outlet just so we can stare at this one black Kenwood radio. I thought it was all band, but I'm not 100% sure. But the thing was like the size of 4 bricks put together. It was just like a thing of beauty. I always wanted a radio like that.
That's funny. I remember those days too, man. Especially when I was in high school, and you can't afford anything like that.
Yep, totally. I remember I got my HR 2510 that was technically a ham radio, a 10-meter ham radio, at a truck stop. It was I got it for 20 or 30% off because someone had didn't want it, and turned it back in, so they charged them a restocking fee, but they gave me the difference. So I don't think I would have been able to afford the radio, and that thing sounded so nice on CB.
Very cool. The big deal for me back in the day, and this was in the 80s, I was still in high school, I was able to save up, and I got a CB radio that had single sideband.
Was that like a Cobra 148?
You know what? It was not a Cobra, and it was, I actually bought it at Montgomery Ward's, and I think it was a Montgomery Ward's brand, or it had their name on it anyway. I don't know who it was that made the radio for them, but it worked just fine.
Wow, Montgomery Ward. Interesting. Radio. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Isn't that funny? I mean, that just goes to show how crazy popular it was back in the early 80s, that places like that would carry their own brand of radio.
I remember in the 80s, my dad had a 23-channel realistic radio, and it had like a really nice gray plastic microphone. I remember I used to love grabbing that thing. It was like nice and big and like beefy. It was really enjoyable to talk on that radio.
I'm getting on the internet now to see if I can find some reference to that radio that I owned.
Did you ever have a 148 kilowatt 6 Echo Golf for ID?
November 6 kilowatt X-ray. No, I did not. My first radio ever was actually one of those huge, realistic walkie-talkies. I mean, those things were gigantic. Big old antenna that you could pull out, and I mean, you almost had to hold that thing with two hands. It was so big.
You know what's funny is at work in one of the control rooms, there is one of those radios in there, and I'm going to remind myself to take a picture of that, holding it, and I'll send it to you on Sunday maybe, if I can remember. But big old giant, I think it's like a 3-channel chip CB.
Dude, I found it. There's a picture of the radio that I owned. I can't believe it.
Text it to me. I'd love to see it.
It looks like this picture was taken off of eBay. Montgomery Ward model 719A, 40-channel AM single sideband CB radio.
A?
Yeah, Montgomery Ward model 719A.
Oh, I see it there. It is on eBay. Let me take a look at that thing.
I mean, that's it. I'm staring at the picture. That's it. It had the silver plate on front, the little green transmit light in the upper right. Man, I love that radio. Looking at it in hindsight, that thing is kind of, I don't know, cheap looking.
For those of you watching on YouTube, I'm kind of putting my computer up to the screen. Sorry about the light ring messing it up. But, yeah, that looks like a cool radio. My dad's realistic radio was very similar to that.
Put it up again. You had it sideways.
That's the way the picture is online.
Oh, gotcha.
I guess I can do that. I can move my computer sideways.
I found some other pictures on here. There's one image that was taken from QRZ. it has one little button there for ANL, automatic noise level, I guess. I don't know.
Now I'm going to look up my HR 2510.
I actually did make contact with somebody in another state a couple times on that sideband radio on CB. Crazy.
And once again, for you guys on YouTube checking this out, that was the President Lincoln, I think, or President HR 2510. That thing, that radio, I made a couple contacts, Australia, Europe, Hawaii, and the East Coast. I don't know if you remember the band in the 90s. It was just amazing on CB.
You know, they still sell those radios, and they're still very highly rated.
Really? An HR 2510?
Well, no, not that model number, but that company's still around.
It's the President company, or I thought it was Unity that made them.
No, I think that's the name of the company, isn't the President? They've got a whole line of them.
I don't know, but I'm going to look this thing up now. I just may want to get one just to have one. Yeah, you're right. They got all the different presidents' names as their radios. There's a Jackson Mobile, a Lincoln, which I think that's what I had.
Yeah, the name of the company is Group President Electronics USA.
That's something I didn't know. I guess you learn something new every day. Yes, I want one of those radios now.
Yeah, and like I said, they are definitely highly regarded. I see one here, President McKinley, AM single sideband radio, and there's a whole review of it on YouTube. They're cool looking radios too.
Yeah, I remember people tell me I had on CB, I had a very distinct sound. Unlike a lot of people running 48s where it kind of had a lot of splatter, it was a lot cleaner sounding radio and it was super loud.
And did you say you thought yours was Lincoln?
I know it was the HR 2510. I think that was the Lincoln.
Gotcha, because now they sell the Lincoln 2 Plus, and it's a 10 and 12 meter ham radio. $249 on Amazon.
That looks nothing like the radio I had, unfortunately. And it has different screen colors. I like that.
Yeah, they're pretty cool looking. But yeah, that's not CB, it's 10 and 12 meters.
I'm sure there's probably a cap you can cut. But I didn't say that out loud.
Didn't say what?
I had I'm trying to think, it was like a lollipop antenna. Silver Eagle.
Oh, sorry, I think we doubled.
Sorry, I had a Silver Eagle. What did you say?
I said some of these names crack me up. There's one called a President Ronald and another one called a President Bill.
Interesting. I wonder if they'll have the one that starts with a T that we just had.
Who knows, but not likely.
I think they're all dead presidents right now, as far as I know. I just didn't realize it was like its own company and still existed. So they have great radios. I mean, like I said, that was my favorite radio of all time.
They even have a President Richard.
Hey, he's definitely gone. He's laying over there in Yorba Linda, I think.
Yeah, not too far from you.
Did you leave like around 5 at work?
Today, no. I was actually lucky. I left quite early today, like before 1 o'clock, so I missed the majority of traffic.
That was pretty much when I was getting down there. I got down there about 11 or so. But I remember looking out at where my work QTH, where I'm actually located at in the building. I can see the 57 clearly. I'm up kind of like a 5th level, so I it was just stacked traffic on the 57.
Yeah, I can definitely do without that stuff. Cray. It's so, it's Friday, you've had a hard week of work, and then you have to deal with that at the end of the week. It's just too much.
I took the 91 home last week, and I took the fast track for the first time in over a year. I was surprised how many people were in the fast track, as well as people. There's like this little side road by Green River. If you're going eastbound, it's before Green River and after Tustin, or before Tustin if you're going westbound. I try to think of the name of a little side street, but that thing was packed too.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you put Waze on, Waze gives everybody like different routes to take, supposedly the fastest route. So all the routes that are shortcuts aren't shortcuts anymore, and you can't even trust Waze anymore because so many people use it. So those fast routes are actually slower, and fast track's a joke because so many people are using fast track now that you can have more traffic in fast track than the regular lanes, and so to avoid that, they keep cranking the prices up, and it's just a snowball effect.
I had one from a couple years ago. My parents were at a Dodger game, a day game, opening day, and that place is notoriously bad for opening day. And we left at this, like I saw my parents, and we're leaving at the exact same time because I was working. And this was right when Waze was starting out. And I typed it in, and they put me down some weird side streets that I've never been on in Echo Park. And I made it home. I showered and left for dinner, and my parents were still on the way home.
Let me tell you, Dodger Stadium is notorious for terrible traffic, and trying to get out of that place is a frickin' nightmare, man. The design of that thing was just horrible. I mean, I went to a couple Dodger games, and it was so bad, I swore it off. I would never go to another Dodger game again, and I haven't. Compare that to Angel Stadium night and day. Angel Stadium getting in and out of is 3 times easier, 4 times easier.
Yeah, Angel Stadium, the only time I have trouble getting out of there is fireworks night, because they kind of squeeze everybody together at a couple different exits, or Yankee games. And you're going to hate me for saying this, but Dodger, I know a route out of there. I can be out of there even on a sellout in 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, really? Well, to be honest with you, I'm not a Dodgers fan anyway. I'm more of an Angels fan, so.
it took a couple years to refine, but there's like certain lanes you have to be in at certain times because they'll pass, and you got to kind of cut a little bit, but not too much. And it's just like you're going like 15, 20 miles an hour. Everybody stops. It's like, and the lane's completely open. This is pretty much all legit except for one little tiny spot.
Interesting. It's like me when I go home from Anaheim. It's like you learn the traffic patterns, so you know what lanes to be in and which lanes are going to be moving the fastest. It's pretty funny because I've got them down pretty good, I'd say, overall. But I mean, it still sucks. Don't get me wrong, but I do know where the patterns are and which lanes to be in.
Yep, you know exactly what I'm talking about then. And Dodger's pretty much the same way. It's just a little microcosm of our freeway system. But I know a couple years back, probably like 6 or 7 years ago, they hired some traffic guy, some expert on how to get the traffic out, and it actually made it worse.
Oh, man, why am I not surprised?
Oh, yeah, the first couple days, because they have a secret, I wouldn't say secret route out, but they had a route out for the players, and they kind of closed that off. And it was like, well, wait a minute, now you got this exit completely closed, because not only players would go out, some staff people would go out, and then you're making the players and everybody sit in more traffic on top of the other people. It's like they just created more of a mess.
Yeah, good times, good times. Well, Greg, it's been fun, but I think it's time I get out of here and shut her down. Been a long week, but glad you made it out here, buddy. And as always, thanks for doing the stream. And maybe we'll catch you later this weekend. I don't know if you're working or not, but I'll hang on for your final, and I'll say 7-3, November 6, kilowatt X-ray.
Excellent, Rob. It's good to be back on. It's been a couple days, and hopefully I definitely will be on Sunday and most of next week other than Monday. I might be on tomorrow depending on the time I get out. I think I'll be getting off work about this time, so you guys will probably be out of here by then. But yeah, I'm going to try to get on as much as I can next week or so, because the next week and after that is going to be pretty brutal. So anyways, take care. K6EGG will be clear from the city of Chino, 2 miles north of Chino Airport.
7-3, Greg. November 6, kilowatt X-ray. We're clear.
And that will conclude my stream for tonight. It is about 9:40. Looks like I've been on for almost exactly an hour and a half. Little lower than normal. I know a couple times I've done it, but I worked today, and sounds like everybody else is pretty tired. I know I'm starting to fade a little bit. I got a long day, and I think it's going to be pretty warm tomorrow. I'm going to be out in the sun for the first time in 6 months. So anyways, once again, everybody, thank you for watching the stream, and hope to be back as soon as possible. This is Greg from the city of Chino, K6EGG. I'm about 2 miles north of the Chino Airport, Planes of Fame Museum there, so if that gives you an idea where I'm at. So if anybody's watching the stream and you have a sideband radio, maybe you can hop on. Maybe I can hear you next time. So just keep tuning in and listening to 144-250 if you hear us up. So maybe I might be on. So take care, everybody.